It's a start. It was a startup company from the Ohio Soybean Council. It was Ohio Soybean Council has been investing in new uses for probably longer than I've been around doing research with soy. But arable, if you spell it A-R-A-B-L-E, it's tillable land. That word was taken by a drone company, and so we changed the wording a little bit to mean kind of a little bit of ag, but also kind of getting things out quickly, getting products out quickly, not just doing research.
Products such as?
Yeah, so we've been working with companies like Stanley Black & Decker that own like Craftsman, DeWalt brand. One of the products that you can find on the shelf at all the Home Depots throughout the U.S. is a bar and chain oil for chainsaws, kind of displacing petroleum or displacing other bio-based materials with sustainable materials like soy.
And where do you come up with all of this?
Yeah, everyone always asks me that question. What's the next best idea, or where do you come up? We don't. That's the genius. Airable Research Lab was started with the premise we would only do research for commercial and industrial companies that tell us what they need, what their consumers need, what their customers need. So commercial industrial companies come to us, they give us technical targets, and then we brainstorm on material ideas. How do we develop the product for an application that their customers need or for they need? So kind of taking advantage or kind of lessons learned from the past is not just doing research for research sake and hoping someone wants it, but doing research for commercial industrial companies, and they already understand the market, they already know what people need or want.
So in your lab you take soybean oil and,
Yeah.
and you make it either thicker or thinner and figure out who can use it best.
Yeah, it just depends what the application is. In the bar and chain oil, it's more of a formulation, so it's just using soybean oil or derivatives of, or functionalizing that soybean oil to have some maybe higher temperature property or more lubricity. And then it's also not just formulation, we do synthesis work where we're taking, maybe starting with soybean oil or an epoxidized soybean oil, and we're acrylating it to create a monomer to displace maybe coatings. Also, we work a lot with surfactants, whether it's for oil and gas industry or for formulation type applications.
And there has to be a tremendous demand for this and an increasing demand because of environmental concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I think that's one of the main reasons why we want companies to come to us and tell us what they want or what they need, is because they already know what environmental concerns are, they already know what consumers are willing to pay for, and so yeah, we're constantly getting requests, whether it's replacing VOCs, volatile organic compounds, or displacing PFAS. Maybe you'll hear a little bit of that today, Teflon type materials, whether it's a firefighting foam or whether it's for a coating or whatever the application. So we constantly get those challenged, not just environmental, but also value chain. So how do we get sustainable materials in the U.S.? Maybe they've had problems over the last 4 or 5 years acquiring materials from China or from Asia. So how do companies not just get into bio-based, but how do they find kind of renewable or sustainable raw materials that they can depend on in the U.S.?
Okay. I'm thinking of soybean oil is going to provide more of a liquid type of a lubricant. Do you get into more heavier lubricants like gun grease and things that are just really stand up in a tough time?
Yeah, we're actually working on a gun oil for like mil spec or military applications. We're a little bit all over the place. It really depends on the commercial company, what they're looking for. We're doing projects where we're developing a soy-based leather paste for leather conditioning, all the way to trying to replace epoxy, petro-based epoxy in circuit boards. So we're a little bit, whatever the client's needing, we're trying to figure out whether soy can be a solution for them.
Well, it would seem like there's probably more things that people would realize that soy could be a replacement for than maybe not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the common person doesn't always know how soy can be used. For example, I had a sample, I didn't bring it, but there's a pair of flip-flops in my truck. and soy plasticizers used in that PVC flip-flop, right? That's what makes the flip-flop more flexible versus like PVC used in your piping in your home. So in the past, they've used phthalate type plasticizers or petra-based plasticizers, but you can't see them, right? You can't visually see them, so no one would know if it's a soy-based or a petra-based plasticizer. But from blood bags, PVC used in blood bags, to flip-flops, you can use soy-based plasticizers in those to kind of control the flexibility of that material.
What have I not asked that's important to this conversation?
I think Airable Research Lab, the Soy Innovation Center wouldn't be possible without kind of the entrepreneur, the innovative spirit of the soybean farmers, U.S. soybean farmers, and I think that's why I'm here. That's what I like to do. I like developing products that utilize their product, soybeans, and being able to kind of hand them products that we've used their checkoff funds for, to show, hey, we're working for you, or we're helping create demand or diversifying your product.
Okay. How do you, when you're working with the Ohio Soybean Council, how do you use the checkoff funds? Where does that fit into that process that you have?
Yeah, so Airable Research Lab was started to kind of take out the middle folks. So we 95% of the research development, product development that we do utilizes checkoff funds from Ohio and now 7 states. Illinois Soy is a partner of the Airable Research Lab. Iowa, Missouri, North Dakota, Kentucky, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, Missouri. So there's 7 soy states, 7 soy checkoff boards, checkoff programs that fund Airable Research Lab to develop these products.
And at that point, those products use more soybean oil, and it just increases the demand for soybean oil and products that just didn't exist a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, soybeans are a commodity, right? So it does take a lot of these products that kind of add up, put drops in the bucket. But I mean, just for example, the bar and chain oil, just the first year it was launched in Home Depot stores, it had created roughly 60,000 bushel demand for soybeans. So that's not a lot for maybe a soybean farmer, for U.S. soybean, but I mean, you start adding those products, and we'll have roughly 10 to 12 products for just Stanley Black & Decker type brands, hopefully by the end of this year.